Good to go.
Adam, I know you just mentioned the third quarter there. It felt like a pretty pivotal one where the game kind of just slipped away for you guys. What kind of happened there?
Well, the reality was they won the ball. We didn't tackle. We didn't win the ball ourselves, and they scored far too easily. I mean, that's in its simplest form. I mean, Stoppage tonight was quite disappointing. They're an outstanding Stoppage team. A lot of really great Stoppage players. We failed to cope with that at all, which was incredibly disappointing. And that certainly shone in the third quarter. But there was really a whole game issue, to be fair. Their ability to win the general play contest was, in that quarter, really strong. And as I said, we didn't stick our tackles. We didn't defend as well as what we have for the most part of the season behind the ball, anywhere near as well as what we'd expect.
The first quarter was pretty strong. I mean, the entire first half was pretty strong, probably unlucky to go in behind, but they clearly made some subtle changes, lob moves forward, and a few other little shifts. I mean, what do you think was it more how you guys competed at the contest, or was it some of what the Dogs did as well?
No, I don't think it was anything structural that they did. I might be wrong, but I just felt like they outnumbered at the contest, were able to win the ball far better than us, and we didn't play with the same level of enthusiasm, I would say. We kind of went back into our shell under a little bit of pressure and failed to take the game on anywhere near as well as what we had been doing. The numbers will say we rebounded okay, but there's rebounds and then there's rebounds, and they created some really good scoring opportunities. Their stoppage work I thought was first class, and we'll learn our lessons, but we need to learn them quickly.
I know we've spoken a bit before about the kind of repeat defensive 50 entries that the opposition seems to be getting, and it kind of happened again tonight. Lockie, Ash and Whitfield kind of was started strong, but they got on top of them. I mean, is it finding that outlet ball and getting a different option there as well? Or?
I actually thought that aspect of our game was at a high level. They scored incredibly well, so I'm going to say 6 goals, 3 off front half turnovers. So that was disappointing. When we did turn the ball over, they scored. But I think if you compare it to the previous weeks, we had 36 and 30 back half turnovers against the last two teams we've played. Tonight I think we had 16, which is the number we want to run at. I thought we rebounded quite well out of our D50, but the turnovers we did give them, or they created, came back and scored. And so that's a little bit of us behind the ball. That's a little bit of them winning the contest ahead of the ball. And so that I was disappointed with the way that we scored. But the reality is the back half ball use is something we've been focusing on. So to reduce the amount of back half turnovers I was pleased with that.
It seemed like first half the defence did somewhat hold up though. No marks inside 50, almost no set shot scoring. Yep. I think they ended up with 7 marks inside 50.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the total number, but it wasn't a mark. It wasn't a marking issue that was our issue behind the ball. It was ground ball. Yep. The ball's on the ground, they win contest. D50 stoppage, they win the clearance and score. And that was really largely all over the field for the most part. Although the numbers will say in the last quarter we rectified that, and maybe they put the cue in the rack. I was quite proud of the way that we play the game out. I think we do that really well in all the games we play, irrespective of what the scoreboard tells us at three-quarter time. So, I know we're going to do that. But, I would have liked to have done something about that third quarter whilst it was happening and not wait until three-quarter time.
Dogs, probably the best stoppage team in the competition, as you were saying. How do you deal with the fact that they will win 2/3 of the ball straight up? Is it,
Well, you hope that they won't. Is the plan coming in? And so you have different plans around. Okay, they are getting on top. We can try and square them up. We can send more numbers in. We can take more numbers out to try and change the look of it. But the reality was they were dominant, and we didn't hold up. And I look at our midfield and I think, well, we've got some really good players through the midfield. They need to be better, and that's the reality of AFL football. If you're not taking control of a certain aspect of the game, whether it's offence, defence or stoppage, players really need to do something about that in the moment, and you support them as best as you can with structure. But we usually we're pretty good at that, but we weren't tonight.
Was it looking two ways a bit, like looking at both winning the ball and like sitting outside to sort of protect? I saw that you had a sweeper there a couple of times at CB.
Yeah, well, that's usually our setup, as it is with most teams. But the reality was they were able to win that ball and then use their shape, which they are fantastic at. And we failed to compete with them on the inside or really have great balance around the stoppage or the contest to minimise their time and space they created.
Sorry. Did it feel like you guys were sort of up at half time? I think I saw someone posted to me on X score that you got up by 4 goals. Does that mean anything to you, those types of things? Or
expected score doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah,
and so I wouldn't know that's that. But it felt like we were in control of the game. It felt like we'd made a couple of errors which they'd capitalised on really well. But for the most part, I thought we were moving the ball well. We were defending quite well. Stoppage work was not great, but we were still able to hold up for the most part. But then, that third quarter was incredibly disappointing, as I said.
I know you've spoken a lot, sort of this pre-season, start of this season, about challenging your leaders in moments to stop that momentum when other opposition teams get on a roll. I mean, what is your kind of message to them after a performance like that, where those sort of 5-6 unanswered goals in a larger stretch across multiple quarters as well?
Well, I mean, we didn't do anything about it, and that's a reality. Our guys were trying. It's not an effort question. We were trying. We just couldn't manage it, and so we've got to be able to get the weight of numbers back, competing really well at the stoppages, competing around the contest, playing how we want to play with the ball, playing how we want to play without the ball. And so there needs to be stronger reminders to all of our players, because we'll talk about leaders and the leader's response. Well, yeah, they're a third of the team, and they've got to influence the rest of the group as well, just like us as coaches do. And I and our coaches and our leaders failed to do that well enough tonight.
Obviously, it's a big match next week, the City Derby at the SCG. In terms of team performance, is it something that you're satisfied, you said, with the effort, that you're just hoping that the system's click a bit better and bounce back, or do you think there'll be changes we might see as well?
I don't know. I'll have to review the game a little bit more forensically than just watching it from the sideline. I trust our players. All in all, I think we've got a good playing group. We compete for the most part. We didn't in the third quarter. I think we can rectify that and move on pretty quickly. But yeah, to have that third quarter on the back of a strong first half, but then compound that into the Adelaide game the week before. We've got some things to work out, and whether that's worked out with the personnel that we have in the team, and we shift a couple of things structurally, or we just do things better, or we shuffle the magnets a bit. We'll chat about that match committee, but I wouldn't forecast huge changes.
We've talked a bit before about Harry's versatility. It was interesting watching him set up on the wing as part of your wing rotations. Can you tell us a bit about what he offers, particularly, I guess, more aerially compared to more traditional wings?
Well, he's a fantastic mark, and so that was part of the plan coming in, is to try and use him a little bit more through the contest. We felt like, well, he's certainly very capable as an aerial player as well as a ground level player. So I thought for the first half he had some really important involvements in our attack and our ball use, but also defensively. Didn't really notice it almost after half time. And then in the last quarter we pushed him back and shuffled the magnets around a little bit more. So I thought he did okay as a wing. Yeah, it's something that we'll pursue.
That's one thing you dominated through the game, was I think you were plus 30 for marks by the end. It seemed like you were trying to dominate the game in the air.
Yeah, I felt like our composure, particularly in the first half. Now in the third quarter we didn't have any. Last quarter we probably did a little bit more, but the first half I thought our composure was pretty strong. It's probably linked to our back half turnovers. We were able to find that release mark, add a little bit more composure on the ball and shift the ball forward a bit more, but pick our right moments to play a bit faster. It's something that we've been working on and we'll continue to work on, and I thought for the most part it was okay.
Saw Jesse Hogan walk down the races a couple of times during the game. He's all okay?
Jesse Hogan?
Yeah.
To my knowledge, yeah. I think he's fine.
See?